to enter Kid guilty on his behalf.
4 to life, 2 to life.
You got to tell me whether or not I should try to get you a misdemeanor.
They are saying that you're not guilty?
Crack epidemic is like nothing we've ever seen.
CCP.
Cocaine. We have junkies coming out.
Heroin.
Cocaine.
Selling drugs is illegal.
Punish you by removing you from
money,
society.
Guns, bulletproof vests, police scanners.
I'm the only white guy that was arrested
The fact
that
that a
night.
paid snitch comes into court and lies in front of the public.
Judicial gridlock.
The system is jammed.
These numbers are staggering.
I have enough work without this case.
That's 1,000 people waiting to see a judge.
Tell me the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
And see that justice is done.
Let me ask you a question. Somebody offers you a couple of hundred, maybe even $300 or $400 to carry a package from, say, New York to Philadelphia. Nobody has to tell you, you know it's drugs. Do you do it? A couple of $100 on the one hand, a couple of years hard time minimum if you're caught. Who do you think is tempted by deals like that?
Excuse me, sir. May I speak to you, please? I'm Sergeant Canelli with the Port Authority Police. I'd like to ask a couple of quick questions, if you don't mind.
Detective Sergeant Richard Canelli is a foot soldier in the war on drugs. His battlefield, the Port Authority bus terminal on Manhattan's west side. His quarry, the mules, the drug couriers, who risk arrest and imprisonment for a few $100s. To the drug cartels, they are disposable, easily replaced. Usually black or Hispanic, most are poor.
Whose black and white travel bag is this?
Police concede that these kinds of operations have a negligible impact on the overall flow of drugs into our cities, but the politicians are pleased.
They are interested in making a lot of arrests. It looks good for the media. It looks good for the press. It looks good for the president's war on drugs. It looks good in general.
But it has also created an almost intolerable burden on our legal system, our police, courts, and prisons. In New York City alone, there are more than 100,000 drug-related misdemeanor and felony arrests every year. Public opinion polls insist that's what we want.
So you're not transporting any narcotics?
No, this is the only bag right here.
And you'd allow me to search that bag if I asked you?
Search it if you want.
Excuse me, sir, may I speak to you a moment, please? I'm Sergeant Canelli with the Port Authority Police.
Sergeant Canelli, like most undercover police, is in a bind. On the one hand, political pressure to make as many busts as possible. On the other, blinking like a warning light over each suspect's shoulder, the protection of the U.S. Constitution.
You have an absolute right to say, you cannot talk to me, you cannot look in my bag, you cannot hold me here any longer than I want, you must let me go, and I don't want you to talk to me or bother me.
You're not carrying any narcotics, are you? You don't believe so?
Sergeant Canelli, for example, cannot simply operate on the basis of his instincts. Under the law, for a case to stand up in court, he needs either sufficient cause or the permission of the person he's questioning to press on, to search a bag. It is tantalizing, time-consuming, and frustrating.
Well, do you want to surrender this bag?
Sergeant Canelli is convinced this woman is a courier and has drugs in her travel bag.
All right, allow me to search it then. Well, you gave it to me. Do you want me to search it or not?
Well, can I go?
It becomes an exercise in seduction. Canelli could open the bag without permission, but then the evidence, whatever is found, would only be suppressed in court later on.
All right, tell you what. Why don't you just surrender the bag? I'll call the DA. There's an ECAP DA telling you surrendering the bag to me at this point. And we'll see what he says. You know
Canelli is disarming, engagingly polite. But if she lets him look in the bag and drugs are found, she could go to state prison for several years. Sergeant Canelli neglects to mention that.
Well, I understand that.
Even so, the woman does not give her consent. Canelli is stuck.
All right. You're free to leave.
She disappears, abandoning the bag. Now, Canelli is free to inspect.
About a half a pound of coke and a pound of marijuana, huh?
It's going to make his job extremely difficult if people who are, in fact, carrying drugs with them know enough to say, Detective Sergeant, get out of my face, I don't want to talk.
Well, there's something a little scary about that. Knowledge of one's rights, knowledge of your constitutional right to be free from walking without being stopped. If knowledge means the drug war is going to be lost, then that's a scary thought.
Excuse me, sir, may I speak to you a second, please? I'm Sergeant Kennelly with the Port Authority Police. I'd like to ask you a couple of quick questions, please, if you don't mind. We can talk right here. You don't have to answer my questions if you don't want to either.
He really wanted to look in my bag, so I didn't have no choice.
Willie Camacho, 20 years old, unemployed, father of 2 small children, did have a choice, but he didn't understand that.
Would you mind if I looked at that bag further?
Go ahead.
Thank you. This marijuana yours?
That's his.
Oh, that's his?
Yeah,
that's his marijuana. No. All right, stand up, put your hands behind your back. No, no problem with you. No. Is that your marijuana in the bag or his marijuana?
He told me to carry it.
Okay, no problema.
Yeah. All right, step off the bus. Not exactly busted a month club.
Whether the marijuana belongs to Camacho quickly becomes irrelevant. A routine body search discovers 2 ounces of heroin concealed in his underwear. The heroin street value, about $16,000. Willie Camacho is now facing a Class A felony charge. Possible sentence, if convicted, of 15 years to life.
All I want to tell you is I can't promise you anything, all right, and I'm not going to promise you anything. And the district attorney cannot promise you anything and will not promise you anything.
Don't worry, Mom. Okay, don't worry. And now what will happen to me? I was thinking about my kids, you know. Me going to jail, I was afraid because my first time getting arrested. I didn't know what was going to happen next.
Willie Camacho has entered a legal twilight zone between arrest and arraignment. He is out of contact with family and friends. For 24 hours, he doesn't even have access to a lawyer.
During that 24-hour period, a person is dehumanized. You get shifted sometimes in Manhattan from precinct to precinct, depending upon where they can hold you.
Camacho ends up the night in a subterranean holding pen.
They're now in what is a dungeon underneath the courthouse. I don't know if the air ever changes in that building down below. You have people struggling from overdose of drugs. They're detoxifying. You got people who are coming down off some very bad drunks.
This is what you meet when you go visit your client for the first time, because judges refer to them as numbers, corrections people refer to them as bodies, and he's a person underneath there.
It's a difficult concept to keep in mind. There are just too many people being jammed through a system that was overburdened even before the war on drugs began.
That someone goes through a system and gets treated like cattle, and then eventually ends up right in front of me. Hello, I know you don't know me, I know you've been in jail for 36 hours, but I'm your lawyer. Your job is to restore some of his confidence, restore some of his humanity, and then get in front of the judge and make the judge care about him. And the judge, in the meantime, is arraigning 70 to 80 cases a day.
Docket 90N044565, William Camacho, step up.
I spoke with Mr. Camacho's wife. They may be able to make $1,000 bail.
Bail is set in the amount of $20,000.
Judge, can I
bond, $10,000 cash.
There's no way I'm going to get out now, you know. Nobody in my family will come up with that money.
Willie Camacho has just been tipped into the wide mouth of a huge funnel, the New York criminal justice system.
$10,000 cash.
There's no way I'm going to get out now, you know. Nobody in my family will come up with that money.
Willie Camacho has just been tipped into the wide mouth of a huge funnel, the New York criminal justice system.
State your name, shield number, and command.
Richard Michael Kennelly, shield number 17, Port Authority Detective Squad, Port Authority Bus Terminal.
Cut and dried, right? We saw it happen. Willie Camacho was arrested and found to be carrying 2 ounces of heroin. His avenue of least risk? Plead guilty. First-time offender, 1 to 3 years in prison. But even the war on drugs has to be fought within the guidelines of the U.S. Constitution. The defense lawyer will argue that Sergeant Canale restrained Camacho by approaching and questioning him without due cause, a violation of Fourth Amendment rights. That is what this pretrial hearing is about.
Once we begin this hearing, I will not get involved in any plea bargaining whatsoever.
And that's the gamble. No 1 to 3 year plea bargain. If Camacho loses here, he could spend the next 25 years in prison.
Where were you at approximately 5:10 p.m. on May 15th of this year?
I was at the lower level of the Greyhound area, which is called the north wing of the Port Authority bus terminal.
I think the question has to be is, what did William Camacho do prior to his getting arrested, which would have drawn suspicion?
I observed an individual later known to me as Mr. Camacho, and Mr. Camacho was pacing in the area.
I saw him.
Remember, Canale's instincts, no matter how good, are not enough. He needs sufficient cause to stop a suspect.
What do I have to do to arouse your suspicion?
There's a lot of things. Yawning, scratching the back of the neck. Your body language would tell me.
Because I scratched the back of my neck? Because I looked around a couple of times?
Because of the way you were acting.
What was I doing?
And you walked out of line a couple times?
No, I didn't walk out of line no time.
Okay, he's going to say that you did, so don't worry about that.
For approximately how long did you make these observations?
About approximately 5 or 6 minutes.
And at that point, you made a decision to go onto the bus and question him about the contents of his bag. Isn't that right?
At least attempt to question him, sir, yes.
Please, I'm Sergeant Canale with the Port Authority Police. I'd like to ask a couple of quick questions, please, if you don't mind.
It's very easy for people in America to sit and say, he was guilty anyway. It doesn't matter. But it does matter, because if you don't start drawing the line where the Constitution exists, the country's going to be in tremendous trouble.
Pat Joyce has touched on the essence of the conflict that confronts us all. Even if the war on drugs were successful, and that is far from clear, does it warrant suspending our constitutional safeguards?
The totality of these factors clearly indicates a lack of voluntary consent. Accordingly, the motion is granted and the evidence is suppressed from the bag and the person of the defendant as well. This constitutes the order and decision of this court.
In Willie Camacho's case, the Constitution kept him out of jail.
It's disappointing, disheartening, and frustrating. You don't want to throw everybody up against the wall and search their bags. That would help the drug problem, but it wouldn't be great for our civil rights. On the other hand, I think if you are too cautious about the civil rights or go too far with it, then we have a worse drug problem.
Camacho was lucky, but the sentencing requirements in New York State, among the toughest in the country, leave the courts very little discretion. A small-time drug courier can face the same stiff prison term as a big dealer.
42, 62, and 63, Josephine Cuevas from the pen.
You see these low-level cases and they just trickle in, and you don't really think that they're having any effect.
He may sound like a defense attorney, but Chris Marzuk is the prosecutor in the case of Josephine Cuevas.
Ready to go?
Okay. Yes, Judge.
Take Josephine Cuevas. She has 5 cases. What does that mean? That means, okay, I went into the grand jury 5 times. I used typing services 5 times. I had 5 stenographers. There were 5 chemists. There were at least 5 police officers, maybe as many as 8 or 9 that had to come down here for a day to indict this case. Everything about this case is multiplied times 5.
And what was the drug or the controlled substance?
27 bottles, right?
Josephine Cuevas is not connected to Noriega. She's not the drug dealer of the century. You're never going to find her carrying kilos or transporting huge quantities or even in possession of huge quantities of money. That's not going to happen. She's a low-level street person. But the low-level street people are the ones that make the system the way it is now. And the system is jammed.
Faced with a 130% increase in narcotics arrests since 1985, the emphasis has to be on moving the largest number of defendants through the system in the shortest period of time. Technically, everyone still has the right to a trial by jury, but there aren't enough courtrooms or judges. There isn't enough money or time. The name of the game now is cop a plea. Make a deal.
If you go to trial and lose, the best you're going to do is 4.5 to 9. The best you're going to do on a plea after indictment is 2 to 4. You got to tell me whether or not I should try to get you a misdemeanor.
We measure progress in the war on drugs by the numbers we arrest, convict, and imprison. The emphasis is on body count. Indeed, by that standard, the war is a huge success. Here in New York City last year, there were 50,000 felony drug defendants. If each of them insisted on a trial by jury, the cost, conservatively, would be about $6 billion. The state had to find a safety valve. It created this special court, Part N. The N stands for narcotics. It's a judicial fast food franchise where defendants get a quick, cut-rate deal on justice, on the condition that they waive their right to a trial by jury.
By pleading guilty now, you give up those rights.
Yes, Your Honor.
Does Part N work?
For what function?
Does it work? Is it just?
Does it work? Maybe. Is it just? No.
What's the difference?
Working means people coming into the system, getting out of the system. That's not the same thing as just.
How does your client plead on the 4 cases?
My client has authorized me to enter a plea of guilty on his behalf.
Plea of guilty.
Plea of guilty.
Plea of guilty.
Plea of guilty on her behalf.
These are almost all people without money. They have had very little time to consult with a lawyer. If they insist on a trial with a jury, they'll get it. But unable to make bail, they'll wait 6 to 12 months for that trial. And they'll wait in jail.
Okay, you know what? You're innocent. Stay in jail for 9 months till you go to trial. If you're guilty, plead guilty. Say you had the drugs. Say you sold the drugs. You go home right now. You're on probation. You won't do a day in jail.
You're my lawyer. You tell me.
I can't tell you. I don't do the time. You do the time. I will tell you that what your chances are winning. If I think you can win, then I'll tell you what to do. I'll say, do you think you can spend a few months in jail without getting killed? Do you think you can do it without killing yourself? And we'll discuss it. But we'll discuss it in 15 minutes or an hour in front of 20 other defendants.
You understand this?
Is that clear?
Yes, Your Honor.
They don't have a clue what's going on. And a defendant has to sit there and say, yes, 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 I know I'm giving up these rights. No one's forcing me. Plead guilty, go home. Plead not guilty, stay in jail. I mean, if that isn't forcing somebody, then I don't really know what is.
You have a right to have this case presented to the grand jury.
Does it trouble you that the people who are coming through there are almost all black and Hispanic?
Of course it troubles me. It troubles me that most of the people that I see are poor people who have had no chance, who had no education, who have no job skills, who many of whom are addicted to drugs and really out there selling because of their addiction. I mean, I would be a dead person if they didn't trouble me.
Have you had enough time to speak with your attorney, Mr. Gordon, and do you fully understand what you're doing by pleading guilty?
Yes, I do.
And
Elizabeth Burgos is charged with twice selling $40 bags of heroin. She has been offered a plea bargain. It is the best deal she will get. 18 months in a state prison.
And are you pleading guilty because you are actually guilty of the charge? What is your answer? Do you state that you are pleading guilty because you are actually guilty of the charge?
No, I'm not guilty of the charge.
All right. Mr. Gordon, I will not accept this plea.
All right.
And we will proceed with grand jury action in this case.
Elizabeth Burgos wants to be placed in a drug treatment center, but that option is not open under New York law because she is a previously convicted felon.
My lawyer told me that there was no chance of me getting into a drug program. You know, you've been accused already of the same charges once before, but he didn't take time to really find out what's true or listen to me. You know, it's like I'm not even there.
And she's saying, why can't I get a drug program? And you explain to her because the law does not permit it. And that's incredibly frustrating, too, because what she really needs more than anything else is a drug program.
The plea bargain of 18 months is no longer on the table. Elizabeth Burgos goes back to jail for 90 days until it is time for another hearing, at which time she will get another offer from the district attorney. Only now, the price of the plea bargain will be 3 years.
What will happen to Elizabeth Burgos if she goes to prison, most likely, is she will do her time, and she'll come out and she'll have felony convictions, she'll have relatively little education, and almost no job prospects whatsoever. And what we usually see from people coming out is that they have nowhere to go, no way of supporting themselves, and they'll go back into the same neighborhoods and frequently slide back into addiction.
You're offering an E felony?
The crack epidemic is like nothing we've ever seen before. So the system is just being overrun by drug cases. And frankly, I'm very pessimistic because I don't see any end in sight. I think that things may get worse before they actually get better.
Part N is the inevitable result of a legal system that is just overloaded. Defense attorneys don't get to defend, prosecutors don't get to prosecute. Judges are largely reduced to processing cases, 70, 80, 100 of them a day. And the defendants who accept those plea bargains are forever marked as felons, with almost no chance to enter public drug rehabilitation programs, only a few of which exist to begin with. The trial by jury for people accused of drug-related felonies is on the verge of becoming an unaffordable luxury. We'll show you why when we come back.
Hi, Charlie Rocco. Charlie, we have a trial inmate who was not produced, and we're ready to go here, and everybody's waiting for this defendant. Desmond Legister.
Desmond Legister, 24 years old, is charged with 3 counts of selling cocaine, all felonies. Determined to have a trial by jury but unable to make bail, Legister has been in jail since June of 1989.
Ultimately, we only have the following choices. He pleads guilty or he goes to trial.
In the years since his arrest, Legister has made 19 court appearances and turned down 4 separate plea offers. He will get his trial by jury, but if he's convicted, he faces a possible sentence of 25 years to life.
Desmond Legister is a small fry. He's not a major importer. He's not a major trafficker.
Legister can't afford to hire an attorney. He's being represented by Dan Arshak from the Legal Aid Society.
I always wonder, who's worse? The person that brings in the 500 kilos or the person who breaks it down and makes sure it's sold on the streets?
For Arshak's adversary, Assistant District Attorney Eric Hirschman, the Legister case is only one of 40 narcotics cases that he's working on at any given time.
What we have is 2 videotapes and 4 audio tapes that I have to go over with you.
Those video and audio tapes, some of the main evidence in Hirschman's case against Legister, were recorded over a 5-week surveillance operation, which cost the city of New York almost $25,000. Even so, not all of this evidence will make it into Legister's trial.
I understand you have consented to resolve the very minor audibility problems that remain with the tapes.
Defense attorney Arshak claims that not all portions of the tape can be understood. Anything that gets thrown out will be a victory for the defense.
If we could just play the portions of the tape that are in question.
All right, you think I better come closer to the machine, Mr. Hirschman?
I think we'll all have to.
Judge Leslie Crocker Snyder, on the bench for 7 years, specializes in felony narcotics trials. The Legister trial is only one of the 250 cases she has on her calendar.
Oh, no, I heard that clearly. I don't want to have shit with me outside my crack house. Okay. So I would deem all of that to be audible. Good morning, prospective jurors, and welcome to Part 72 of Manhattan Supreme Court.
Under New York law, we can't show jurors' faces in the courtroom. The drug crisis has touched so many people that selecting an impartial jury has become painfully difficult.
You cannot hold anything you might know or feel about problems involving narcotics in this city against this defendant.
It takes a full day to pick a jury for the Legister trial. Judge Snyder calls for 100 or more potential jurors in a narcotics trial because almost half will say they cannot serve.
one after one, they will tell me things like, I can't serve in this case because my son is in jail for selling drugs. I can't serve in this case because my daughter is in drug rehabilitation. I can't serve in this case because my nephew overdosed from drugs.
An actual trial in a felony narcotics case is becoming something of a rarity in New York City. Only 3% of these cases ever get to trial. You're about to see some of the reasons why. On the first day of the Legister trial, one of the jurors is in a car accident. The day is a total loss.